So tonight we're going to have a little bit of conversation with Miss Emilee. We're going to be a little bit different this time. We're going to do a little bit of interactive workshop-esque conversation. I'm really excited about this. So it's going to be a little bit different than our normal flow, especially for those of y'all that have come to this event before. But I'm really excited because I think it brings a different perspective compared to what we normally talk about, but also what I normally focus on. So it'll be a little bit of fun. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Zach Knight. I'm the founder of Advancing Line for Veterans. We're 2 years old and we've expanded into 12 cities, 8 states, last I counted, but growing very rapidly, focused on really highlighting local talent in communities. Tampa is our second biggest community. I'm based in Atlanta. So I'm in and out of Atlanta pretty quick, or in and out of Tampa pretty quick, but really focused on finding different gems across the country that we can really highlight. And Emilee's one of those this evening. So it is through the computer. He's like, we want to make sure Emilee's content is ready to rock.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I've got a team member on the computer recording for me. Thanks, brother. So a big piece of this event for invited club members and obviously Center Club members, she's going to smile and wave. What I told her is I didn't want her up here pitching anybody, selling anybody. And Crystal, who knows Crystal? So I told her she talks too much, especially at these events. So I made her sit in the corner today. I know nobody puts baby in the corner, but we put Crystal in the corner. Joking aside, y'all, for those of y'all that don't know Crystal, she's the head of membership director here at the Center Club. By far our top advocate here in Tampa. And she's the one that has pushed this forward for us to be here at the Center Club. Is anybody not familiar with Center Club, invited clubs, how they operate? Anybody not familiar with it? So everybody knows exactly.
They're afraid to raise their
They're so
hands
afraid.
back.
I said interactive, y'all. I said interactive. So I'm setting this. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So Center Club, the beauty of invited clubs, I'm a member. My base club is up in Atlanta, Buckhead Club, on the Board of Governors up there. But we also have a national partnership with invited clubs. And it started in Atlanta, but the beauty is it took off after Tampa. And thanks to Crystal and bringing this event here, we've really focused on invited clubs and Center Club being an epicenter of veteran entrepreneurship, where our goal is to bring veterans into a room like this where we wouldn't normally come to. Besides Melvin, how many veterans love networking in business clubs? All right, y'all are all liars, and Melvin loves it. Kidding. But part of it is a lot of veterans don't want to come into this type of environment. We're not comfortable here. We don't necessarily seek out this type of event. So our goal is to bring veterans into a situation, an environment where there are other business people we can learn from that aren't necessarily veterans. And the membership here at the Center Club is phenomenal, and Crystal's been a huge advocate for that. So if you want to know any more information about how Crystal and I are partnered on making the Center Club the epicenter of veteran entrepreneurship here in Atlanta, please harass her. She also loves selfies. So if anybody wants to take a selfie with her, highly encourage it. So for this evening, I'm going to introduce this lovely young lady to my left, Miss Emilee Tucker. One thing we can't hold against her is she was born in New Milford, Connecticut. Is that even a state?
Connecticut, the state.
Okay.
There's been
New England. Do we care about New England?
Between Boston and New York.
Highway. I have other names for it. We'll go with it. So also, she's a cat lady. She is a 6-year-old cat named Mowgli. I'm just going to hit the highlight points that I'm amused by. Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's also pretty smart. She has a master's in organizational effectiveness and leadership. Also from Connecticut. I didn't know they had universities up there. We're starting early. It's not a Navy joke. I was told no Navy jokes.
It's hitting close to home.
That's what's wrong with you up there. So she also has several other certifications, practitioner of EFT, TFT, Reiki 2, and NLP. So she can really like tap into your brain and tell you exactly what you're thinking and how you're thinking it. She also has many years of corporate, 18 plus years of corporate, but really found stagnation and had a grueling breakup through the corporate world. The biggest piece you're really focused on now is authentic leadership, executive coaching, really helping people find their success, their ROI, if you will, in business and in life. That's a lot of what we're working on tonight. Tonight, we're actually going to together go through one of her worksheets. And I think one of the things that veterans struggle with, which I'm really excited about, is we really struggle finding purpose and passion after the uniform. We get into a job and we hate it, or we start something and we can't really find that same calling that we had in the uniform. And this is where I think this conversation is going to be quite enjoyable. So thank you for being here this evening.
Excited to be here.
So how many people know Emilee officially? So a couple people.
Thank you.
How many people are friends with Emilee that didn't sit down earlier? She immediately raised her hand. So she's a good friend. So before we dive into this workshop, and I mentioned this is going to be more interactive. So we have some worksheets. We're going to go through several pieces. Give a little more context. Obviously, I hit the cat lady and the New Englander, but give a little more context for the audience. Give us a little bit about you, your background, what got you to where you are today in business.
Yeah, so I'm more than a cat lady. Surprise, surprise. So what really has brought me here is my curiosity. I have this affinity for continuous improvement, and that also meant for me in my life. So with that, I leaned into what brought me joy and what did I enjoy? And that was leadership, that was becoming better. And I wanted to be a model for other people through that. That's why I went for my master's degree. It was something I really wanted to round out my skills and my experience and my education so I can bring those gifts and talents. So throughout this journey that I've had so far in life, it's been windy and it's brought me a lot of life lessons and wisdom that I can bring to the world. And really through that again is that curiosity and leaning in. And what I would want for you today is to think about, how are you leaning into your life? What is lighting you up and finding that you're on the right path? It's not always the prettiest traveling road, but it will bring you to some really beautiful places.
I love that. And I have to ask, are you a veteran?
I am not, though I do support them entirely in all branches. I know there's been some jokes in the audience.
Stop talking. Not all. There's only one that matters, and it's the Army. Sorry.
Yeah, so for those that are vets here, round of applause and thank you for your service.
No, not go Navy. Sorry, guys. Right. So part of where this is different, and what I love to do time to time is I think veterans learn a lot from ourselves, and we continue that after the uniform. Where if you didn't notice, a lot of vets will get together and we'll share war stories, or we'll talk about the good old days and what happened when. But a lot of times we don't break that purview and seek guidance from civilians. So part of, I think, what's interesting today, I'm representing the veteran. I'm going to ask questions from the veteran perspective. Emilee's going to represent the 18 years of corporate experience she has, the executive development, executive coaching experience that she has. I think the beauty of that is it's going to open, the hope is it opens our perspectives, where we learn something new, we learn something different, because an Army guy can only teach an Army guy so much. We can teach Navy guys everything, but we can only teach so much to each other. So expanding that conversation tonight, I'm really excited about. Before we dive into the workshop, I know there's a lot that you focus on with companies and clients. Can you give a little bit of insight of like what your day-to-day work looks like?
Yeah, so it's a combination where I'm bringing in one-on-one coaching. A really good sweet spot for me is when I'm working with those that are managing and running the company and the teams, because that's really where you're able to make the most difference, that you're working from both sides cohesively because you're then speaking the same language. So one-on-one coaching, group coaching, a lot of my work is rooted in emotional intelligence and communication. If you build relationships, you build the bottom line. So with that being said, if you're speaking the same language, if you're on the same team and you're doing that authentically, you can really make some great progress. So coming from both sides is a really, really wonderful thing that I get to do.
I love that. And what I'm curious is where we start the interactive. How many, I'll start with veterans, but let's talk about like transition, because I think there's a human element attached to transition, whether you're losing a job, losing a family member, going through a divorce. I think transition we all can understand. How many veterans, as you're transitioning, like first day out of the military, you were like, oh, I found my new mission, purpose, passion? Is there one person that was like, all right, I know what I'm doing? Say it one more time. Purpose. All right, I have one hand up. What was the thing you found right after the military? And that was your big purpose, passion. How, so financial planning 101, E4s, don't buy the new Mustang.
That's
very basic. Got it. Yeah. Nice. Love that. Sorry. The Hellcats or the pickup trucks. So it's a Challenger, Hellcat, Dodge, something or another that, it's not a pickup truck, so it's not a real vehicle, I was the Japanese imports type. So, but that you look at it across the room, that's one person that was able to immediately jump into something, right? How about for the civilians in the room? If you went through a transition or had like a tough part of your life, how many times did you immediately bounce out of it? You're like, oh, cool, I'm good now. Is there anybody that can be like immediately healed?
So as a mother, you don't have the luxury to spend another day not finding what it is you want. I'm not saying it didn't take a couple weeks, but the connections that I had at every company or community that I was involved in, I've always been a connector. So I always would ask my friends, do you know someone? And usually somebody responded rather quickly.
Yeah.
And even though it might not have been my dream job, I did treat it like it was very important until I found something else along the way. But that's what
It does. And I think asking for help is one of those things that as humans, we all struggle with. As veterans, I know we really struggle with it. Another piece attached to it, what about defining success? How do we define success in the room? Shout out answers.
I see the body's just shifting the energy.
Right?
your older. A lot of it is things that go on in your life, taking your perspective on what. I think a lot of being raised is, or in society, this is successful. Look, each person has to define what their success is.
So what is it? Give us your definition, because you're pretty successful, I would say.
Not just be different, inspire. So be different, make sure that everybody understands that, like, we all have different fingerprints, right? Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Be who you are, and accept who you are, and then inspire other people, right? Give back, inspire, make sure that they understand that they can be anything they want, and then help them grow.
I love it. Any other? Go ahead, sir.
Mine's the complete opposite. Which is that's like I do, but mine, like I just wanted to be at peace since I'm 20, and that's my definition of success. It's not. I mean, I do a lot of charity work. I sit on boards. I do give back. I do all the things, but my success is just peace. And whatever that looks like for everybody, mine's different. I just want to be at peace.
I love it.
And that's my definition of success for me.
I love it.
2012, and it's been paid for since then. People see I drive an old car, they don't expect me to drive an old car. You know what I mean? People sometimes they it's kind of like that first impression, right? And I had somebody say, that's a really cool car. It's now older and can be cool. Right?
Thank you.
And so those are the things that I love. And that to me is the most powerful moment of enlightening, of understanding for myself. The authentic is who I am. Like
No, I love it. Vintage is in now. Like I love it. So I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right.
This worksheet we're about to go through, it's called the ROI Formula to Enjoy Your Life. And it's really focused on your authentic leadership consulting. As I hand these out, will you tee up what's the concept behind, you normally do this as a workshop, you do this interactively. What's the concept behind this worksheet and what you're doing in your work?
Yeah, so what I'd like for you is to be able to get something out of this by having this reflection tool. If there's just one thought that you shift tonight, that's what I want for you. Something to spark a thought, spark a change, have an aha moment. And when you have the power to the pen, those things can happen for you. So that's why I have it set up this way. It's meant to be, again, engaging, interactive, and thoughtful. And this is really your time. So I will be putting you to work a little bit. So if you don't have a pen, there are some pens up front.
If you need a pen, raise your hand if you do need a pen. And if you didn't get a sheet, you got
Thank you,
one.
Zach.
You got one already? There you go. Oh, sorry.
Mhm.
Perfect. Awesome. And can we give Roy's hitman a round of applause because she's helping hand everything out?
Thank you, Valentina.
Valentina was like flexing on people earlier. I'm like, we're going to put her to work real quick. All right. So you heard the explanation and you heard the concept of it. So before you start filling this out, because I know some of you Navy people like to be overachievers, I want to tee this up. And I think this is something, again, we want to be interactive. We want to work through it together. So the very first piece of the ROI formula is reward yourself. And it's really focused on how you reward yourself. I think as veterans, and I love your perspective from the work you do, as veterans, rewarding ourselves is something that's very difficult. It's the take a tactical pause, stop and smell the roses. I was talking earlier about I bought a bottle of Macallan 12 a couple weeks ago because I landed on the for-profit side, landed a really good contract. And I have to force myself to just the small wins, celebrate the small wins. And that's a big piece of it's a struggle because a lot of times we're so mission oriented and mission focused. In your world, how do you define this reward yourself? Tee up this question and give some action attached to filling this out.
Step back for a minute and just set the stage a little bit more. So have you ever thought to yourself, am I happy? Am I enjoying my life? I'm going to bring you back to a time in my life. It was November 2019. I was in my last semester of grad school. I was managing 2 medical practices at the time. I was going through a breakup. I was going into full prep for a bikini competition. To set the scene, I was 108 pounds and I was eating pretty much all my food, all of my meals out of a Pyrex dish. And I was chasing, and I was not enjoying my life, to say the least. So it brought me back to go, where are my feet, and be where my feet are. And realizing my worth was not attached to all these things I was chasing. It was being in the moment and enjoying those moments that mattered. So when you think about rewards, reward yourself. It does not need to be this extravagant thing. It doesn't need to be this car, this vacation. What I want for you is to start to rewire and think of these wins as daily wins. What are the things you can celebrate? And the reason why I say that is because it's going to start to reprogram your brain and create those tracks so that you're building that up. So I want you to say R with me, R. So it's an action, an accomplishment, and a reward. You're building this cycle. So whether it's having a cup of coffee, when you think about Ryan, you think about peace. Having a cup of coffee sitting out maybe on your porch, that can be a reward. It can be just having a smile or a laugh with your child. It, again, doesn't need to be this extravagant thing, but it's building that wire between your brain so that you do more of that. And then you're being where your feet are and you're really taking in those moments. So I want you to sit with this for a minute. And how have you rewarded yourself today? Whether it's a small win, something small. It could be, I went for a walk. And these are the things that are going to build on your life and that are bringing in, having that momentum of joy. So I'll give you a moment or two, write down something that you can do to reward yourself.
And this is something that I'm going to ask people to share towards the end. You don't have to share, but this is something for you to take home. So if it's personal, don't think we're going to like take these up and it's going to be a test and we're giving a quiz on it, right? But this is something for yourself. If you want to share it later, please do. Also, recognize that the Navy guys, what you said, say are, the Navy guys really chimed in as pirates. Sorry, I'm gonna stop distracting. Take a minute, sit on the thing. R.
ARR. It's action, accomplishment, reward. So you're taking an action, you're getting that accomplishment, and then you're rewarding.
So as they're filling these out,
Mhm.
Emilee, what are some examples that how you reward yourself? What are some wins that you celebrate?
A walk on the beach. I love a good walk on the beach. It allows me to feel grounded. It allows me to reflect. It allows me just simply be in beauty and nature. I'm very close to it, so I visit it frequently.
Over the last couple of weeks, it's been a walk with my new puppy. That's the reward. My new puppy gets all the walks.
So I want to just wrap up a few things with R. So it triggers dopamine, right? Again, it's bringing it to a subconscious level of having that cycle. And why would you reward yourself, right? It's going to boost confidence. It's going to boost momentum, right? It's reinforcing those habits. So what do you want more in your life? Reward that.
And if anybody's done and wants to share, volunteer. Sir, please.
Well, real quick, I'm a ultimate foodie, so my special reward is to go someplace to enjoy a meal that I haven't been.
What's the last place you went to that was just amazing?
The new Chinese place.
Nice. I'm always looking for good recommendations.
Tommy, it doesn't count when you go 7 days a week.
Anybody else have anything they want to share? Go ahead. Go Army.
Going to an airport.
So that's a perfect segue. Hang on. What a perfect segue to the negativity. Because anything Air Force is very negative. You notice how comfy he's sitting in this chair up here. Come on now. So the next one, omitting the negativity. So omitting the negativity and Melvin. But tee this one up.
Yeah,
Give us
so
the insights on omitting negativity.
when we think about what cost us, our time, our energy, negative will do that. So whether it's negative thoughts, negative people, negative experiences, I use the word swirl. So who's ever had a recurring thought, a negative recurring thought, even if, right? So here's a quick math. If you think about something for 5 minutes every day for a year, that is over 30 hours of time that you've spent wasted thinking about that. That's a lot of time. So just to put into perspective, if you have that one small thought on repeat, there's an impact. So it's costing you time, energy, money, all of those things. So when you think about who are you spending your time with, what are you spending your time on, I ask of you to start thinking about what are you doing, who are you doing things with, and how do you feel, right? So we have 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot. 95% of those thoughts are subconscious, so we're not even aware of them. Want the mic, David?
She's gonna give it to you, David. Like,
Yeah. So think about what's programmed, right? So if you do have that conscious thought, let's stop that thought. Let's stop that cycle. So you also think of 75% of your thoughts are repetitive. It takes a conscious act to stop that from happening. So when you think about your time, your energy, it comes back to your thoughts, it comes down to your people. So think about what's the cost. So when you think about what's the negative thought that you have, I want you to write that down. So on question number 2, what's a negative thought that you have? And think about, what does it cost you? Is it time? Is it energy? Is it memories?
and I know, speaking from personal experience, I'm a big one on the perceived disrespect with some people. How many veterans feel perceived disrespect attached to things, right? It's probably not actually somebody being disrespectful, but like for me, time is a big thing. So if somebody shows up 10 minutes late, I see it as like an immediate disrespect, because in the military, if you're not 15 minutes early, before the 15 minutes prior, before, it's one of those, like, time is a very big thing. So like you mentioned it perfectly, like, what does it cost you? For me, it's energy. If I get my mind so wound around trying to have a meeting with somebody and I'm already immediately, oh, you're late, you're wasting my damn time, what's happening? It immediately costs all that energy, right? That hit pretty close to.
And this is a reflective practice for you to sit with what is happening in your life so that you can start making those changes. And I challenge you to start to reframe. So who here has said I can't? Show of hands. I can't. A simple reframe is I'm choosing not to, or it's not a priority. Does that feel different in your body? I'm choosing not to. And it could be a great reason why you're choosing not to, but reframe and watching your words will change that energetic expression.
Now, no big piece in NLP practice is word choice. I should have, and you could should yourself to death. That's another big piece. Any other thoughts from the room? Anything that somebody wrote down that you'd like to share? Go ahead, sir. Tomorrow never comes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you put off that you're going to do tomorrow, actually? Taxes. Give me I'm going to do it next year, I swear, right?
So I want to leave off with some strategies though. So I don't want to leave it open-ended. So some things that you can do is come back to gratitude. So this is a very simple thing that we tend to forget, is being grateful. It brings up that energy to be a positive experience. You think of what you're grateful for. You can go through so many things. I'm grateful for my hands. I'm grateful for my shoulders. I'm grateful for my feet. It could be as simple as that. David?
No,
And so you can get granular and really start to think about, this life is a beautiful thing and I can enjoy my life right now. It doesn't have to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You can enjoy it today. It's, again, making that conscious choice. So that moving your body is really important too. It moves that energy. So we tend to think, oh, I can't go for that 5-minute walk. I can't move away from my desk. I'm stuck to this. It's actually going to be more beneficial for you to go and move your body and shift that energy. I think of the example that you give, Zach. I'm stressed. This person showed up late. Oh, I'm angry. Go move for even 30 seconds, reframe, come back. You're going to show up present. You're going to be able to show up and have that interaction with that person. Be more productive, right?
And before you jump too far, another
Sure.
thing that I know from the law enforcement world, when I was a police officer for a few years, but also in the military world, how many of us took work home with us to the family? Now, in the entrepreneur world, how many of us take work home to the family, right? As a divorced man, and y'all, most of y'all met Taylor by now, so y'all know she scares me. So I don't take work home to her. But I think that's another piece, is that reframing, taking a moment to pause. We're very big on the ride home, taking our time to like set aside, how do we prep to now shift into the family life? Because that's a big thing in the military we didn't do, right? As a police officer, I lived in the city I was a cop in. So like everybody knew the dude driving the patrol car home, right? So it's hard to disconnect. But I think that reframing is a valuable asset attached to just prepping for that next piece that you have to operate in.
Yeah. And one more thing, who here has taken a conscious breath today? Actually thought about it. So very few hands in the air. So that's a practice you can start to implement right now, is pausing and taking a conscious breath. We go through our day and we don't realize we actually didn't think about breathing. Go ahead.
So I think all this is really thought-provoking and makes you think about your journey and things, positivity and the negativity. And for me, as a journalist, I'm always cynical, and there's always a reason, and shame on them because they're late and they're making whatever. But I've come to a point where I think I have to pause, because not everybody can be the same in our journeys, to give grace. So when you give grace, you become aware of other things that we're not aware of. And sometimes if you give grace and then you have a follow-up, you realize that grace was right. There was a reason for the lateness, for the inability to react to an obvious, success story. And I think if you do that, it makes it better. And I'm always about the silver lining and positivity, that it makes it better in the long run.
Thank you. Yeah, and to kind of segue to veterans, we don't know what's going on. And it's being curious and leaning in and asking questions. It could be, are you okay? And just making that eye contact can change the whole dynamic. So that pause is powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
And now looking at invite your dreams in, I have a story attached to this that we do with our programs. I want to let you set it up before I talk about that piece, because I think dreaming is something that veterans are not great at. But set this one up for us and I'll share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I do find that if we have a dream placed in our heart, it's meant for us. The barriers will come down, the support will come through, and it does take that leap, but it's setting that intention and being clear in what you're looking to create. And that purpose, that mission will drive you. And that can be scary. And I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the room that have made that leap. So congratulations for living that life and needing that for sure. It's, what do you want more in your life? So I think about nonprofit, right? For you, ATLVets, that was a dream. You had this vision, you've moved through that. Why? So emotionally connecting to it is one of the most important things. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're not emotionally connected to it, it won't get you through those hard days. It won't, right? And being able to write it down and create it and have it tangible. There's a power to the pen, and you put it out there and you become devoted to that mission. So the first step is really having clarity of, what do I want to do? What are my gifts? And we talked earlier about that identity shift. That's a huge gap. And I myself have gone through identity shifts multiple times throughout my life. And it takes time to be quiet with yourself and ask yourself some of those really hard questions. And what I would want for our vets is to be able to allow that time and space, that it's okay to sit and think and maybe not even know at that point in time. It's okay to also not know immediately.
And before we get into the working piece of this question, something we do on my private equity side, one of my partners, when we founded it, he was like, "What do you dream about?" I'm like, "You don't want to know my dreams. They're nightmares, right? Like for years, I couldn't sleep because of the dreams, right?" And he laughed at me, right? And he was like, "That's not what I'm talking about." He's like, "What do you dream about?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you mean." And what he reframed for me and what we do in our intake process. So when you apply to be in one of our programs, there's a step one. If you don't do this step, you never get accepted in our programs. And he's like, we do this thing called a dream list. And as veterans, most of us dreamed about being in the uniform. Before the uniform, I dreamt of being the next John Smoltz, Atlanta Braves closer. I'm going to be an awesome pitcher. Obviously, that did not work out. But my one dream was I wanted to be a police officer. So at 20 years old, I became a cop and did that for several years. Realized it wasn't for me in the long term. And then the next dream was, oh, another uniform. I want to shoot bigger guns and blow up more stuff, right? The police side was a lot of fun. SWAT, narcotics, did all the fun stuff that you could ask for. On the Army side, I went infantry. I was an officer, deployed the Green Berets, did everything I could have dreamt of, literally in the military and law enforcement. And one thing that we struggle with is those are our dreams. When I got medically retired, for those of y'all that aren't aware, I've got severe nerve damage in my left arm, don't have any feeling in my left hand. It works well, but I can't feel anything, right? So I was medically retired when the Army surgeon screwed up the surgery and I couldn't carry a rifle anymore. They didn't think I could carry a rifle anymore. So I was medically retired for it. And I went through a very dark period, nearly became a statistic, have a book I wrote about that was talking about me being in the dock with a pistol in my mouth. And it is a difficult thing that a lot of veterans go through. That's maybe a unique story for a lot of folks, but in the veteran space, it's not unique. And we have that 22 a day. And there's a big reason we chose business as the vehicle to change veteran suicide. And I believe that's what saved me through several divine interventions. I had a business, I had a side hustle, I had a team still, right? And it took a lot of reframing and a lot of help for me to really shift. Why am I waking up tomorrow? And one of the dream lists that we work people through is not what are you dreaming about? Because that was terrible. It's like, what are you dreaming about that's possible? We provide a list of 1,000 examples. Literally, it's an Excel spreadsheet with 1,000 examples. What do you want your dream life to look like? And it's an exercise we put them through. They have to work through it with their family. They have to record a video, submit that video, and that's literally the beginning of our intake process. Because so many veterans dreamt of the uniform. That's what I wanted. And when it gets snatched from you, like it did for me, I wasn't done in the military. It got snatched from me. I got retired. What am I dreaming about now? That's all I was for 15 years, was the guy in the uniform. So a lot of veterans really struggle with this piece. What are we dreaming about is possible? Because a lot of us don't know it's possible, right?
Yeah, so you bring up a point about visualization, and that's a really great way to anchor in. And a tool to that is having an elevated emotion. How do I want to feel? Whether it's happy, whether it's joy, how do I want to feel? Where do I want to go with my life? And being able to anchor in also with those senses. So how do you feel? How do you smell? What are you experiencing? And immersing yourself in your experience of your dream, because what happens is your brain doesn't know any different and it starts to create that reality. So visualization is a really great technique to anchor in what you want to create. So you have that elevated emotion, you're believing it, and you're engaging your senses. So you think about that transition of identity. Well, what do I want to do? How do I want to feel? That's a really great step. I want to feel happy. What does happy feel like? And anchor in from there. And it's a process, right? Giving yourself grace, other people grace as they're moving through that, because it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It's that repetition. The brain likes repetition.
And that's something veterans struggle with, sitting in your emotions, right? Mm-hmm. How many of us want to sit in what we feel? And that's a human quality. But for me, when I was going through Captain Career course on Fort Benning right before the surgery, it was the first time I'd ever lived alone. Moved out of my parents' house and moved in with a roommate. Right after that, I was married, moved in with my ex-wife. I'd never lived alone except for this 6 months, right? And it was, you deploy, you live with 30 dudes. And it was the first time I'd ever lived alone. And it was the first time I was forced to sit in silence. And I don't know about y'all, but silence is deafening. And then you start hearing the skeletons clawing in the closet and they're trying to break out. And it's something that thankfully found a great therapist through Emory University. And it was one of those like, they taught that. How do you sit in that emotion? Because that's like a really terrifying thing to do a lot of times. So how do you sit in that, the good, the bad, but to be able to understand it better?
Yeah, and it's a layered process, right?
It's like an onion.
It's an onion. There's
Yeah.
many layers, many layers. So normalizing it, leading with love, having a community. I think we're breaking down that stigma that we can talk about emotions, especially men. And it's actually a strength to be vulnerable. So how we do that is we continue to ask our vets in particular, if we're talking about vets specifically, how are they doing? Hold that space so that they can share. Maybe they won't share the first time, maybe they won't share the second time, but if you continue to show up and lead with love, that barrier will start to come down. And that's where we can have the change.
I love it. So this last part, what are you working towards now and why? That's that last piece of what you're dreaming, how you're dreaming about it. David, you have something to share on that one?
Yes, something awesome. I serve those who serve, and one of the things I found is that praise is super important, gratitude is super important, but they don't equal growth. The only thing that equals growth is actually action. And so if they're sitting on a couch, a veteran sitting on a couch and feeling grace and feeling gratitude, then it just spins backwards, right? So they have to actually get into action. And I think, I would say this next step, believing your dream, incites action. So I think that's really cool, because then you start to actually see that something can be done about it.
Love it. Does anybody have anything they want to share that they wrote down? What are you working on now? What are your dreams coming to? EJ, go ahead, brother.
I wrote down the last really working to start a doctorate degree. I really want to make policy change.
It's difficult. I'm in my doctorate right now. Bless your heart, brother. Mhm. Who else has something they want to share they're working on? So there's a big piece I'm working on that I would love to share. EJ, you were in an event in Atlanta. A lot of what I haven't talked about with ATL Vets is that piece, the lasting legacy. A lot of nonprofits, the founder goes away, the mission, the vision, the legacy goes away. One thing that I've always had a vision of in Atlanta, and then in the future, satellite, Tampa would be that next spot. I'm working on building a veteran center of excellence, and I've put this message out for the last year or so, where we'll have a full mental and physical wellness facility, everything from workout facility, OT, PT, cryotherapy, full works, co-working space, conference space. I had this vision, had a little bit of buy-in from some people, but a lot of people were like, you're crazy. Stop expanding the nonprofit so far. You're crazy, right? And a lot of people that put their own limitations on you, which is a very difficult thing in entrepreneurship. But I have this vision. In the last 6 months, my private equity side, we started investing a little bit of defense tech. EJ came to an event a couple weeks ago. We hosted in Atlanta. That's Atlanta Defense Tech Networking, and it's really focused around Atlanta becoming the ecocenter of defense technology advancement in the Southeast. As I threw this idea out to this group and include a defense technology business accelerator, a few other aspects that really evolved. Now I have MIT's accelerators flying into Atlanta in a couple of weeks to talk about it. We have a space tech accelerator out of Albuquerque flying into Atlanta to talk about us building this. And this whole concept is this facility that's the Veteran Center of Excellence with defense technology, great applicability of direct placement for veterans, obviously the physical, mental health. And the beauty of it is as this vision's grown, I talked about it. I told people about it. I asked for help from people, but it started with me really identifying what's this big, hairy, audacious dream I want to accomplish. And I can't tell you how many people told me I'm crazy. And I am. It's true. World domination, Pinky in the Brain. We made a reference earlier. But it is something that is big, hairy, audacious, and a huge dream, and it's going to happen. And I have no doubt about it. But it had to start with, what does that dream look like? How can we be different? How can we be bigger? How can we make a true impact in the world and not just be another VA or another organization that doesn't move the needle more than 1%? That's the big challenge to me in this room is, what are we dreaming about? Thoughts?
Yeah, so you made a comment where people thought you were crazy. And I think that means you're on the right track. If people think you're crazy and they're doubting you, it is their limitations. And what I will also say is that we are a mirror for other people and they're a mirror for us. So their judgments are their fears. They're not yours, right? It's how they're limiting in their life. So be mindful who you take guidance and advice from. I also have this saying where, would you trade shoes with them? Would you trade lives with them? If you wouldn't, would you take advice from them? It's be mindful of the situation, right? Like, you've got your parents, you've got other people in your life, but also be mindful, where are you taking advice and guidance from to really make these dreams a reality? Because you are your only limitation at the end of the day. If you have that dream in your heart, if you're putting these things pen to paper, taking action, really believing in it, you can anchor it, you can create it, you can create anything that you want.
And before I give her closing comments, at the very bottom of this is a QR code. This is a link over to several things from Emilee. You'll talk a little bit more about it here in a sec. How many people find this type of exercise easy to do? A little bit. How many people want more of that? Because that's what we're setting the stage for at these events. Our goal is not a one-off interaction with Emilee. David, you were highlighted here months and months ago, right? We have people that we keep bringing back in as resources for this room, and we want to keep bringing that on. So it's not just here's Emilee one time, we're never going to see her again. The overarching goal is, what's this series of events that we can create from this room that bring impact into this community? And I think Emilee is a phenomenal resource attached to that. If this was something that you struggled with, or somebody in your life you think would struggle with it, or they haven't talked about it, this is a great resource to take to that person. Scan the QR code, find out more information. I think this is something that is a struggle, and I personally don't think it's something that inside the veteran community we can solve very easily, because all my business coaches, all my mentors are not veterans. I've gone so far outside of that realm to learn something new and find a different mindset. And it has helped me and my community break out of our isolation and break out of our insular thinking as veterans. And I encourage that piece. Any closing thoughts, comments?
Yeah, so the QR code is to a feedback form. So it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to fill it out. And in exchange, I'll have a call with you, and we can go through a blueprint on how you can actually take some of these steps and make some of these changes. So it's an action-packed 20 minutes that you'll be able to get in exchange as a thank you from me. And be able to hear from you and what your takeaways were as well. So if you would, I would absolutely love to be able to partner up. If you'd like to learn more, I'd love to see how I could support you as well.
Awesome. Y'all give her a round of applause. So I do have to brag on her very briefly, very, very briefly. She said yes to this about 2 weeks ago. Had some logistical issues attached to some events, as events go. We had a great conversation a couple weeks ago. So she stepped up pretty last minute to be here this evening. 1 call preparation, I guess, where I didn't prep you for any of this. And you said, let's F it, send it type thing.
We might have spent 15 minutes prepping.
Yeah. So did she crush it or did she crush it?
Thank you. Thank you, Zach.
Of course. So please mix and mingle. We still have a little bit of time before Crystal kicks us out of here, as she does every time. She loves when I say that. Don't forget to take a selfie with Crystal. It makes her day.
We should take one from here.
We're definitely going to take a selfie. We're going to get Crystal. You have little T-Rex arms. That's fine. But y'all mix and mingle. Please socialize. Grab another beverage. Thank Crystal. Talk to Emilee. take selfies, post them, tag us all. Thank you all for being here this
Thank you,
evening.
everyone.